Good morning. So where we are right now is on Nun Vav Amud Beis. Today we're going to do Nun Vav Amud Beis and Nun Zayin Amud Aleph. So we're up to Nun Vav Amud Beis, about 10 plus lines down from the wide lines, where we are up to Amr Rabbi Chanina. There is a fundamental question at the end of this entire sugya, which is, again, about how dreams work. Unfortunately, we won't have time to really get into that much as just discussing what the Gemara says. Somebody who sees a well in a dream, he's going to be well, right? So Raya Shalom, he's going to see peace. Shenamar, like the pasuk says by Yitzchak Avinu, Vayach B'Ravdei Yitzchak Banachal, that they were digging there in the stream, Usham Be'er Mayim Chayim, and they found. Right, this was the whole back and forth that Yitzchak had with the Avimelech in terms of being able to dig wells and be able to keep them, and they found the Be'er Mayim Chayim. So therefore, somebody who has a dream about a well should be assured that it's going to be good. If somebody dreams about a well, he should have confidence that he's going to find Torah. Right, because those who find me find life itself. So Be'er Mayim Chayim, and over here you have a pasuk which talks about Be'er Mayim Chayim. So a person had a dream by a be'er. Be'er has the word Chayim in it, and Chayim is also in the pasuk in Mishnah. It says somebody who finds Hashem, meaning somebody who's finding Torah, is going to find life itself. So therefore, seeing a be'er, life, means finding Torah as well. Rav Amar Chayim Mamish, it means actually finding life, right? Not just simply becoming Beitam Chacham, but actually being alive, literally. Amrav Chanan, Shalosh Shalom saying there are three different types of dreams that can be harbingers of peace. What are they? Nahar, Tzipar, Ukdera, right? The river, the kettle, and the bird, which was Rabbi Aaron Feldman's book that he wrote years ago. This is where he got it from, although he changed it around because here it's Nahar, Tzipar, Ukdera. It's the river, the bird, and the kettle. Maybe it didn't work as well in English. I don't know. So how does this indicate peace? Says the Gemara. Nahar dichsev, when you dream about a river, how does this indicate that it's going to be shalom? Hineni naita elea nahar shalom. It says I'm going to spread it before you like a river of peace. So that's why if you have a dream about a river, you can be assured that you will find peace. Tzipar, a bird. Dichsev kitziparim afais in Yagin Hashem tzavakas. Hashem will be hovering over you like a bird that protects the young. So Hashem will be protecting over you. Where we have that pasuk also in Parshas Yisro that Hashem says, right, that I took you out, right, on the wings of, translated normally as eagles, but I think more safe would say the what do you call it? The griffin vultures, right? Essentially, they protect their young using their wings. So too, someone has a dream about a bird, then it's an indication that Hashem is going to be protecting you. Someone has a dream about a pot, a kettle. So the sieve, Hashem, Tishbite, Shalom, Lana. Hashem is going to establish peace for you. So again, these three things are all good indications that a person is going to have good things happen. Rav Chanina. Rav Chanina now wants to clarify this that we just said, that if someone has a dream about a pot, that he's going to be able to be confident that it's a dream that indicates shalom, that's a dream that indicates peace for him. That's true only, says the Gemara, b'kedera she'ein babasar, shaninu, or as it says on the side, doesn't mean shaninu, it means shenamar, right? That Rabbi Chanina is clarifying that just having a dream about a pot, you need to know what's in the pot. If the pot is empty, then yes, it can be an indication of life. It can be an indication of shalom. It can be an indication of good things. But if it has meat in it, if it has pieces of meat, then it's not such a great thing. Why? Shenemar, kasher basir, ukabasar b'seich kalachas. Right? Because then there'd be an indication of the fact that you have, like Rashi says, alma pernusa, right? Then it's going to be a negative thing. Right? You have cut up pieces of meat. Sounds like somebody is not going to necessarily have life, right? It's going to be cut up. So it's going to be compared to like meat in the pot, and that would not obviously be a great sign. Fine. I'm Rabbi Shubin Levi. Araya Nahar Bakal. So basically, what this then for the next Amud and a half, we're going to be seeing more and more dreams where you're not having to go to Barhedya. Right? We're just giving you indications of the dreams, and you'll see most of these are indications that are going to be wonderful. It's fantastic. And the query whether or not these are wonderful and fantastic, because these have already been dream interpretations that have been given. And so therefore, if you have the dream, it's already as though it's been given to you. Or how exactly is it working that it should be considered wonderful? Rabbi Shimon Levi, Haraya Nahar Bachalayim. Right, somebody sees a river in his dream. Right, we just said already um, from Rabbi Chanan, right? Rabbi Chanan says if somebody has a nar in his dreams, that's sholish shlemis. It's by definition, it's a good thing, peace, etc. It's fantastic. But Rabbi Shimon Levi doesn't agree with that. Rabbi Shimon Levi is saying that Haray Nar B'Chalayim, somebody sees a river in the dream, so then immediately has to do something, right? Shashkim, he should get up right away. V'yayman, he should say, Hineni Naita Aleh Kinar Shalayim. Right, you should bring this pasuk down there. Rabbi Chanan just said, in order to make sure that you're going to have peace. In other words, it's not so obvious that it's going to be automatic, at least from these examples. Rather, you have to get up and say the pasuk, in which case then it'll be peaceful for you to having seen the river. Right, because otherwise, because maybe another pasuk will jump out at you, and that other pasuk that will jump out at you is what? Right, it'll be a bitter river. So I don't know how pasuks jump out at people, but basically, when you guess you know Tanakh, so pasukim sometimes have a way of jumping out. So what's the first pasuk you're going to think of? So Rabbi Shmuel Levi is saying, make sure you think of a good pasuk about a river, because you want to make sure that it's going to be shalom for you. So for Rabbi Shmuel Levi, these are ambiguous, right? Harei nar is not necessarily inherently a good thing; it could be not a good thing. So therefore, you make sure you say the right pasuk, which will be essentially acting as a pisrin for you, and it'll be your way of being after the dream. Whereas if you, according to Rabbi Hanan, it was sort of like inherent. Fine. He says the same thing about the bird. If you see a bird in a dream, Yashkim V'yamak Tziparim Upwas Ken Yogan Hashem, etc. Then shake him in a pasuk acher. Right before another pasuk would jump out at you, and that pasuk would be a negative aspect about the bird. And what is that? Kitzipor Nedeh, that's Menkana, right? Like the bird that's being forced out, that is wandering away from its nest. Right there, Bakalim, the same thing when it came to the pot, the kettle, that, according to Rabbi Hanan, that was inherently good. According to Rabbi Shimon Levi, you have to make sure you say the right pasuk. So you ask him, V'yem Hashem, right? Tishba Shalom Lanu. Again, Hashem is going to establish the good thing, good peace for us. So again, that would make it okay. I'm shaking the pasuk acher, because it could be that another pasuk would jump out at you, which is Shabbat Heser Shabbat. Right? Hashem is going to sort of sorry, not Hashem, it's going to be established negative for you, right? And that negative that's going to be established, obviously, is going to be the opposite of peace. So, I think what we see in these two Gemaras is the difference between what is your inherent supposition. According to Bichanan, it's that these dreams are inherently good, and so you don't have to be worried about anything. According to Shmuel, these dreams are inherently ambiguous, so you have to be place to them l'tayv, and the way you do that is by saying over the psukim that are going to be a rendition of something nice about it, rather than potentially having another pasuk jump out at you, which would be a negative about it. So you should get out in front of it when you have a pasuk like this, or a dream like this. I'm sorry, that you look for a pasuk that's going to be a good picture. Fine. Now we have all sorts of objects, really, all the way through the next hour and a half. All sorts of objects people see in dreams, and we're saying in general, most of them are good inherently. Remember, certain ones are going to come up again and again, so we're going to say anavim again soon. Somebody sees grapes in a dream, so yashkim v'yoymar, so he should get up and he should say kanavim b'midbar, that right the grapes in the desert. Before another pasuk would jump out at him and say anavim in veirosh, right? Chash asida islam, which is a pasuk there in the Teichacha. So essentially, when it's coming time to seeing grapes, not necessarily inherently good. So you have to make sure that you use a pasuk that's going to get you to the right interpretation. Araya Harbach Alayim. If somebody sees a mountain in a dream, Yashkim v'Yomar Manavu Ala Harim Raglim V'Vasra. The pasuk that we have in the Haftarah, right, how wonderful the mountains. Right, when the herald is coming to talk about Mashiach is coming, etc. That's a great thing. When you see mountains, Kain Shik Admin Pasuk Acher. But we have another pasuk in Eichel, which we say every year. Al Harim Esa Bechi Vanei. Right, we're crying about the mountains, Jerusalem desolate, all the destruction, etc. So again, seeing the mountain or seeing the grape could be seen as a good thing or not a good thing, depending on the type of pasuk that one says. All right, Shayfer Bachalai. Somebody sees a shayfer in their dream. They ask him, you talk about shayfer gadol, and that day Hashem is going to blow the great shayfer again, announcing the heralding of the redemption, etc. Before another pasuk would jump out in front of him, and what would that pasuk say? Tigu shayfer begiva. Right, that is a negative situation where the shofar is being blown in Giva. Giva is a place where there's a lot of tragedies for the Jewish people, and so you want to jump out in front and get the right shofar. All right, Kalev Bachalayim. So if somebody sees a dog in a dream, right, this is the pasuk that we have by the Makkas, right? That even the dogs, right? They kept their mouths shut. So you should say that. If you see a dog in a dream, that'll be a good thing. Before another pasuk could potentially jump out at you, which would have negative connotations, and that is va'klav mazeh nefesh, right? They're very wild, etc. All right, Ari Bachalayim. If somebody sees a lion in their dream, so Yashkim V'yem Ari Shoeg Mila Yira. Right, Hashem Diber Mila Yinave. The pasuk in Yirmiyah tells us that the lion roars, and who is not afraid? Hashem speaks, and who does not prophesy? So if you see an Ari in the dream, so that's going to be wonderful, right? That's talking about Hashem, etc. What will be the negative connotation is Allah Aryeh Miseb B'choy, right? That the lion is coming out of its den, it's coming out of its lair, and it's going to come attacking. Somebody sees like a haircut in a dream. So I'm not saying that the Gemara doesn't say if it's a taglachas like of a mitzvah or something like this, right? Or of a nazir. We're not sure what kind of taglachas it is, but some sort of a haircut. So if you see that Yashkim V'Yamar Vayigalach Vayichalef Sim Loisa Vayavayo Parai, right? The pasuk in Parshas Miketz, where Joseph is now being taken out of the bar and he's being brought in front of Pharaoh. So it's a wonderful thing. That will be great. That will be an indication of a good thing about a haircut. Before a negative pasuk, as the pasuk says, right? This is a pasuk there in Shaftim about Shimshon. Shimshon is telling Delilah that if he's been lying to her the whole time about the source of his strength. Finally, he says, if I lose my hair, then I'm going to be weak. And then she knows it's the truth, and of course, we know what happened then after that. So now we're back to the be'er. Now, we already said before that if somebody saw a be'er in the dream, Rabbi Chanina said, be'er b'chalayim is very shalom. It's going to be fantastic. Why? Because v'yach rab the yitzchak b'nochal. So here we're saying we're seeming to be taking on the idea that it's not inherently fantastic, that it could be, it's ambiguous. So, somebody sees a well in a dream, Yashkim v'yomar be'er mayim chaim. Right? You should say that puzzle we discussed already, that he sees a well full of living water, and that will be good. Before excuse me, before another pasuk jumps out at him, and that other pasuk will be that kehakir bir meimel, right, which would be a negative pasuk about waters. So again, the Gemara, by bringing down this idea, seems to be suggesting that what Rabbi Chanina said, the Havarai Be'er is again potentially open for interpretation, not inherently Same when you brought around Rabbi Chanan, but Rabbi Shmuel about the same stuff, which also revisited and said maybe it's not 100% inherent, but rather it depends on the kind of piston that you give, depending on the pasuk that you mentioned. Fine. Then he's like, so if somebody sees a reed in their dream, so Yashkim v'yomer, a person should, awaken and say that kana rotzot lo yishaver, right? That it should be not broken the reed. Kaim shekem in a pasuk acher, before another pasuk jumps out at him and says, "Hini bataktil chal mishanta kana rotzot," right? The negative version of it about the reed that is doing damage. So again, the same idea as we've seen now repeated, but now the Gemara comes along and suggests that maybe seeing a kana is inherently good. It says the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan, Haray kana b'chalayim. Somebody sees a reed in a dream, yitzapel chachma. He should expect, he should wait for wisdom. Shnemar kenei chachma. Right? The word here, kenei, is like acquired wisdom, but it sounds like kana, right? It's spelled like kana. So if somebody sees a kana in a dream, he should have confidence that he's going to be acquiring wisdom. Kanin, if somebody sees many reeds in the dream, see it's labina, he's going to have deep understanding. And among all the purchases that a person does, he should, get wisdom. He should get understanding. Amar Rabbi Zera. So Rabbi Zera has a line: Kara, Kaira, Kira, Kanya, Kulu, Malu, Lachalma. If anybody has any of these things in a dream, it's a wonderful thing. So what is Kara, Kaira, Kira, and Kanya? The Rashi tells us Kara, Kaira, Kira, Kanya. So Rashi says that Kra de la is that mina lakamna ra de luin bacha lam yerish shamayim hu lashon dalu ena lamar. Fine. So it's a lashon if somebody is going to be sort of looking up towards the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's the idea of yerish shamayim. That is in the sense of kara. Kaira, what is kaira? So this we mamash had the same exact Rashi on this Rashi. Kaira Rashi says rachag gadol, so a leaf that's growing in the palm tree. B'chol shana keder shari lanas u'shana shniya u'miskash v'nasa eis. And the second year it becomes hard and you can't eat anymore. Remember we had the Gemara. That Gemara was on Lamed Vav. Right? The Gemara told us about kaira. Rabbi Udaimer was very proud. Shmuel said it was a shahak on the Abizvarai. Right, that was the Kaira. And Rashi over there literally says the same exact thing as he says over here. Rach Shaldekel, it's this leaf from the palm tree. Kishanaf of Gedolim, Choshana V'Shana Geder Kolilan, Sanesa V'Shana Zu Rach V'Shana Shnia Miskash and Nasike Eitz. So remember, the first year was edible, and in the second year it becomes hard now, like wood, and you can no longer eat it. So the question was, what kind of a bracha you made on it? That's the Kaira. I think in English it's the heart of palm. You can't eat it in the second year. Then it becomes
the first year.
That's what he said.
The first year.
We're not getting into that now. That was back there. That's not our conversation for now. I'm just saying what a person saw in the dream. Kira, if a person saw a kira, what's a kira? Rashi says shava, wax. Kanya, if you saw kanya, this is not Kanye, this is kanya. That was not a bad joke. Oh, okay. It was a good joke. Fine. Kanya is a kana, so that's the reed. So Rav Zera says, Kula Malachal. These are all wonderful things for the dream. Yeah, these are all good things. Fine. So Tanya, a Maran Deluin, a person doesn't see pumpkins in the dream, gourds in the dream, El Mishu Yari Shamayim unless he's mamish a very serious Yari Shamayim. Okay. So over here, it doesn't seem like there's any and ifs or buts about it. If you see a pumpkin in a dream, you should be confident that you're a good Yari Shamayim. Maybe Halloween is different. I don't know. But in the rest of the year, maybe. Haraya Shar B'chalayim. Somebody sees an ox in the dream. This is again could be ambiguous. So you should get up and say the pasuk B'char Shari Hadalai. Kind of should get on a pasuk Acha before another pasuk jumps in and says what? Pasuk Paras Mishpatim. About the whole parsha, Bava Kama and the Zikin, goring shar. Tanarabban, Chamisha Devarim Namar Bashar. There were five things that were said about somebody who has a dream about seeing a shar. Somebody who has a dream that he's eating the ox, he's mamish having a good barbecue. So Misasher, he's going to be wealthy. Nagchu, if he's goring the shore, Havile Banim, Shemanaikim he's going to have children that are going to be like mamish goring out there with their Torah. They're going to be punching others, with their knowledge of Torah. Nashku. However, if the cow is biting them, right? So then Yisur and Barmalov, then it's going to be a negative aspect. Bayatu, if it's going to be kicking, so then the Archvachaikan is down the line. If it's going to be kicking, then it's going to have to go to a far distance where he's going to end up. Rachvo, but if he's riding the ox, then he's going to end up being put into a high position, an esteemed and exalted position. The Gemara asks about Tanya Rach by Mace, but we have another price that says somebody has a dream riding an ox. It means he's dead man. Right? If you ever go watch cattle riding, cattle bull riding, or something like that, it's called. Right? They can stand on the bull for like 2 seconds, right? And then, the big record is the guys on the bull for 10 seconds because those bulls, they're not easy. So Mars says they have a price that says if you're riding a bull, you're dead. That's more like kasha. It's not a question. The Rachav Hula Tura, the Rachav Tura Day. The question of who's riding whom. If you're riding the bull, then it's a sign of good things. If the bull's riding you, yeah, it means you're a dead man. Okay, fine. If somebody sees a donkey in a dream, it's after the shua. You should have confidence that it's going to be a shua for him. Tzaddik v'noisha who ani berachva l'chamar, the famous pasuk. It's unfortunately adopted by other competing religions, but Mashiach's going to come. Right, he's going to be potentially looking like an ani riding on a donkey. Fine. So if somebody sees a chamar in a dream, he should be expecting the Mashiach. Somebody sees a cat in a dream, be'asr the karla shunra. Right. To me, when I read this Gemara, I say, "Oh, does it mean in Israel they have a lot of cats?" No. Well, the Gemara was a joke. The Gemara says, "If you see a cat in a dream, so be'asr the correlation shunra." No, this is be a chad gadget joke here. No, the also shunra. Yes, if they call it a shunra, so not shira. No, you're gonna have a nice song being played about you. But if they call it a shinra, I'm not sure if it's like a Heimish place, which translation. But if they call it Shinra versus Shunra, then Asla Shinoi Ra, then it's going to be negative for you. Okay. Araya, yeah, it just depends on your pronunciation. Do you say Shunra or Shinra? Araya, Navim Bachalem, we see grapes in the dream. So remember, we already talked about grapes in the dream. And then we said the person has to get up and make sure he says a good pasuk, because it could be negative pasuk, because Anavim in Veirosh. And now we say Haraya Anav Machalim. Somebody sees grapes in a dream. If they're white grapes, Bain is Manan, Bain Shalev is Manan, whether it's in the right time of the grape season or not, the right time of the grape season, then Yafis, it's great. Shcheres, but if it's black grapes, dark grapes, is Manan Yafis, Shalev is Manan Rois. If it's in the right time, then it's great. If it's not in the right time, then not. Alright, it's just Lavan Bachalim. Somebody sees a white horse in the dream, Bain Menachas, Bain Bird, whether the horse is sort of cantering along or galloping, that's a good thing. But if it's a red horse, but But if it's a red horse, then if it's cantering along, then it's fine. But if it's mamish galloping, that's bad. Somebody sees Yishmael in a dream, then his tefillah will be answered, right? Because Yishma Kel, right? Yishma Hashem hears. But the daf Yishmael ben Avram, but that's only if somebody sees Yishmael ben Avram in the dream. Aval Tayaba Amr, if he sees a regular Arab, then nothing special will come out of that. However, somebody sees a gamal, a camel in a dream. The Misa Niknas Alay, he had really death in his future. But he had death planned from heaven, but he was saved from it. That's what it means. My car. That's what it means in Pasuk. Right? Yaakov Avinu is being told by the Rebbeinu Shalom that I'm going to come down with you to Mitzrayim, and I'm going to come up with you. And Rashi explains, "Vanochi Alpha Gam Oloi" sounds like Gamal. It's like an intriguing for Gamal. So that is the hint to know that if somebody dreams about a gomel. He had Misa that was, awaiting him, but he got saved from it. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, a different pasuk. What's Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak's pasuk? Gam Hashem Hever Chatos Kol Lo Yitzchak. Hashem is going to pass over on your sin, and you're not going to die. Fine. Haray Pinchas B'Hakalayim. Somebody sees Pinchas in the dream. So Pella Naasaloi. He's going to have a Pelayim. He's going to have unbelievable things happen to him. All right. Pil B'Hakalayim. Somebody who sees a elephant in a dream. Peloyis Naasaloi. He's going to have even more unbelievable things. Pilim. If he sees many elephants in his dream. Then Pile Ploy is Nasaloi, right? Pile Ployim, this is where it comes from, right? So you're gonna have unbelievable, crazy things happen if he sees like a herd of elephants in his dream. Presumably, it's not as impressive of a dream if you have the dream about the herd of elephants rushing you while you're on safari. That might not be having as much of a meaning. But if you're sitting in Bar Park, maybe I don't know about Bar Park, but if you have it somewhere outside of the safari, maybe you have this meaning then. Yeah. It says the Gemara. What do you mean? We have another brayso that says that all types of chayes that you have in a dream, that's a wonderful thing. But except for the elephant, or the monkey. Like Kash, it doesn't much. We turn to an Zayin Amid Aleph. It depends if it has saddled up, if they're in control or not in control. If they are in control, then if they're not saddled up and they're in control, that's not a good thing. If you're in control, they're saddled up, then it's fine. Fine. Haraya huna b'chalayim. Somebody sees huna in a chalayim. I'm not sure which huna. There's a lot of hunas. Many generations of hunas. Okay, but somebody sees huna in a dream. Nes nasaloy. It's a sign that nes is going to happen then. Chanina, right? Chananya, Yochanan. If you see any one of these names in a dream, so then Nisan Nasla, you're going to have a wonderful Nisan happen to you. Why? Because if you look at the name has in it a bunch of nuns which refer to Nisan, right? So Huna has one nun which is for Nates, but Chanina, Chananya, and Yochanan have two nuns each, so that is Nisan, great Nisan going to happen to you. All right, a hesped b'chalayim, somebody who sees a hesped, right? A funeral. What's it called? What's it called in English? A hesped? Eulogy, right? Somebody sees a eulogy in the dream. So again, similar thing to what we said before, that somebody sees a camel in a dream. So misa niknas eloim hashemayim v'tzilu. So too, if somebody sees a hesped in a dream, which I can see a little bit easier than understanding about a camel. But if somebody sees a hesped in a dream, so then right? Meaning, really, he should have died, but he was able to pray design. Heaven allowed him to continue. Says the Gemara, "V'hani mili b'kisva." Right? That's true if it was written. Rashi says a little bit more than that. Rashi says akuluka. We're going on really everything. Shira huna chanina teva zushal hesped ksuva the mashma chasu ala pdu. Right, that's if he sees it written down, not like he's just dreaming about it. If he sees it written down, the name Huna, the name Hananya, then these kind of things that they have these kind of meanings. The more qualifies it a little bit. It's not just if you have a dream about the word Huna, but it should be you should see it in writing. Okay. As this presumably means it's part of somebody who's dreaming. So he's dreaming that he's saying Yeheshmei Rabba. No halavai v'sholav, so he's kind of dreamed, right? Right, and then Muftach Hashem Ben Olam Haba. Right, he's guaranteed that he's going to Ben Olam Haba. Right, it's not like the Gemara Kufya test in Shabbos. The Gemara there in Shabbos tells us that somebody says Yeshua Rabba B'chol Koichai, the Makaron like Zardina, right, these kind of things. So here, the person not saying B'chol Koichai, he's just simply having a dream about the Yeshua Rabba. Yeah, he's having a dream. If you pass him like Rashi of Tesis, right? He's wondering if Rashi is b'chol kavanasai, right? And Tesis mamish b'chol koichay. That I have it reversed. I forget now. Yeah, I think Tesis. My brain's not working. Either way, one of them says b'chol kavanasai, one of them says b'chol koichay, mamish like with power. Either way, this one is not saying it at all. You're just saying yesh merab, and that alone makes you ben elam haba, but doesn't mean you're kind of like Zardina. It doesn't mean you get, that's kind of good things. Fine. If somebody is saying Shema, presumably again in a dream, so Rosh Tishrel of Shechina. So he's worried that he should have the Shechina on him. El Shein Der Zakor Lakach. But, that kind of a level that he's going to have the Shechina, the generation is not worthy of such a thing, so therefore he doesn't have it. But that's what kind of a level person we're talking about. Somebody who's was dreaming about saying the Shema. I mean, tefillin b'chalayim. Here we're being more explicit. We're saying somebody putting on tefillin in a dream, right? It's aplik. Now you should be expecting good things. I'm assuming this doesn't mean you're a Chabad person standing by the railway, right? To give tefillin to everybody. Because again, what I'm basically saying is that if you go to the safari and see animals and you have a dream about animals, I don't know that this applies. Because then it's what we saw already before about the things that what happened during somebody's day when you say like more had an involvement out, right? My he says, he tells him some crazy things that he's that's what ends up dreaming. The outside of the normal then presumably has more meaning. Yeah. So the Gemara says that why is tefillin? If you see tefillin in a dream, it's going to be tzapel gedula. Shenem v'ro kol hamerot kishem Hashem nikra alech aviyaru mimeka. Again, the Gemara we had this back on Vav. The world's going to see the Shem Hashem, and they're going to be in fear, right, of Hashem's tefillin. So too, if somebody sees tefillin in the dream, he should be expecting great. Tanya Blazer Gadol Omer. Blazer Gadol says el tefillin shall be reish. That is the head tefillin. Somebody who has a dream where he's davening, that's a good simon. Seeing. That's a situation where he has not finished. In other words, Shener Mishnasi Rashi says, Krem Shenastalik Simon. If he gets up before he finished davening, so that's a simon that he's not like close to the Ben Shalom. Fine. And then we have a whole series of very odd dreams that clearly we're interpreting them for the good, but you might wonder why are they all such great indications? But if you wonder that, also look at the Gemara in the end of Yuma. That also sounds very odd, and yet it's considered to be very good things, and maybe sort of a similar idea. So the Gemara tells us here in the next line is Habal Ima Bachalaim Mitzap Labina. If somebody has such a kind of a dream of Arias, so you should expect deep understanding. Ki Shnema Ki Aim Labina. Right, because the aim, the mother of understanding. Fine. Fine. Habal Naram Rasa. Again, another seemingly very adulterous and inappropriate situation. It's apple of Torah. You should expect to have Torah. Shnema Torah Tzivla Moshe. My Rosh, let's talk about Tikri my Rosh, Ellen my Rosh. So clearly the woman is a stand-in for the Torah. Habal Achlaisi Bakalayim. It's apple of Chachma. Right, somebody who has this kind of an inappropriate dream. He should expect wisdom. Right? He should say to Chachma, "You're my sister." So when somebody's having that kind of a dream, it's obviously he's thinking about Chachma. Fine. Again, seemingly very inappropriate kind of a dream. But this one, the more caveats that if somebody is having a dream about Ish, that's only if he doesn't know. Right, doesn't know her and hasn't been thinking about her during the day. Because if that's the case, then you have other problems. But just random, then excuse me, then it could be potentially a sign that you're Ben Hab. Fine. Somebody sees wheat in a dream. Rosh Shalom is going to see peace. Right, they're going to have the milk of wheat, what's called cream of wheat, and that is put together with shalom. So somebody sees wheat in the dream is going to have peace. Somebody sees barley in the dream, so Sarah Avanasav are going to go away. Person's Averis went away, and sins are going to be forgiven. Zera who famously went from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, he says, I didn't leave until I saw barley in my dreams. Why? Because he wanted to know that his sins were taken away. All right, somebody sees a vine filled with grapes, mamish like leaning down from all the grapes on it. So his wife's not going to have any miscarriage. Right. So if somebody sees a very choice vine in his dream, it's apple of Mashiach. He should, be expecting Mashiach's side. Right, this is the puzzle there by Yehuda. Yaakov's dream in Paras Vayechi was a reference to Mashiach. Somebody sees a fig in his dream. His Torah is going to be washed inside of him. Somebody sees a pomegranate in the dream. So then also is going to be good things. It depends on the size of the things that you see. So zutre, if you see small little pomegranate seeds, the zutre pear is small pomegranate aski kirimane. So you're going to have a business like the riman. It's going to grow nicely. Robber Weber, he sees a big pomegranate, a gazinta one. So then Rabbi Iska kirimane, his business is going to be very big like the riman. Fine. Palge, if he sees the pieces of the remind, same time Chacham will yitzapel Torah. If he's the Talmud Chacham, he should be expecting Torah. Shenemar, Askiacham yain harekeach me'asise reminding, right? They're going to be drinking from the spiced wine, like from the remind. Fine. In Amaretz, who yitzapel mitzvahs. If he's an Amaretz, he can't expect Torah because he doesn't know anything. Shenemar kefel harimah rakasech. Like, what does this mean? Rakasech. The Gemara explains, right, the famous line that even the empty heads, even the Amaratzim and the Jewish people, they still are full of mitzvahs like a Rimai. So we are now on a roll here to be discussing all these various fruits, etc., that are good signs. All right, somebody sees owls in a dream. Again, we're not leaving these as ambiguous. We're saying that these are fundamental. So zutre, if you see small olives, zutri peri, small olives, then Varabi the koy aske kazesim, right? Then your business will be successful like the olives. Animi peri, right? That's with regards to seeing the olive fruit in your dream. Aval ilane, but if you see the tree in your dream, the olive tree, so then have they bun merubin, then you're gonna have a lot of sons. Somebody who sees a zayas in their dream, shame tov yotzeloi, gonna have a good name. Shnema zayis ranon yafa peri, yafa pri toyar kra Hashem shemecha. So it's a sign if somebody sees this in a dream, he's gonna have a good name. All right, Shem and Zayis Bakalim, somebody sees olive oil in the dream, it's Apple and Martyr, should expect that he's going to have the light of Torah. Shem and Zayis Doch. Fine, all right. Tomorrow Midchalim, somebody sees dates in the dream, Tamba Varnoisa, right? He's going to, right, well, we say that in also the Hiratzins on Rosh Hashanah, right? So Shenema Tamba Varnech and your sins will be over, the daughter of Zion. I'm Rabbi somebody sees a goat in the dream, so Shalom Isbarachas, he's going to have a wonderful year. Izim, if he sees two goats in the dream, so Shanim Misvarach is going to have good years. Plural, he's going to have good years for himself. All right, Hadas Bakalim, somebody sees a Hadas, a myrtle branch in his dream, Hadasim, then Nechasim is going to have very big success. The mainland Nechasim, if he has no money, so how's he going to have a big success? Yerushan Efel, somebody is going to inherit it. Amar Ula, Amir Basnista, Tana Behuda Chaza Bekanai. That's only if he saw them with the stem. Okay. Haraya Esrig Bakalim. Somebody sees an Esrig in the dream. So Hadar who Lifnei Kainai, then he is a Hadar, like the Esrig is a Hadar, right? Creates Hadar Kabbalis Tamarim. So he's Hadar in front of the Rebbeinu Shalom Shnam creates Hadar Kabbalis Tamarim. Right, Anafei Tzavas Arvei Nachal. Right, Haraya Lulav Bakalim. Somebody sees a Lulav in the dream. And Le'el Echad. Lulav, he only has Lev Echad, love of Shabbat Shamayim. He only has one heart to God. That's a good sign if he sees a lulav in his dream. Right? Ivez Bakalim, somebody who sees a goose in his dream. He should have expecting wisdom. Shnemer Chachma Bachutz Taraina, that the Chachma will be outside trumpeting. Right? That's what geese do. Like they make a lot of noise. They go honk honk honk. Right? Ba'Ba'Allah Rosh Yeshiva. If somebody has a dream where he's not much being boiled the goose, so then he's going to be Rosh Hashiva. This mind-boggling Gemara also makes you remind you of the Gemara about Zarcha Beis. The Gemara over there tells you about the guy who was Revea, a goose, and then he was Chanka, then he killed it, and then Sala, right? He grilled it, and then he ate it. Right? That's these are mind-boggling things, but nevertheless, the Gemara says this is a dream that indicates wisdom. Rav Ashi, any Risiya? Rav Ashi says, I had such a dream. And it happened to me. I became a big Rosh Shiva. All right, somebody sees a girl in the dream in Tzabel ben Zachar. He's going to have a male son, Tarnagoyim. If he sees multiple chickens in the dream, say Tzabel Bonam Zachar. Tarnagoyim, if he sees a lady chicken, Tzabel Tarbitza no Vigilis. You have a nice garden. All right, Beitza Machalim, somebody sees eggs in a dream, Chulia Bakashasai, then his whatever he needs is not 100% clear, then he's going to get it. It's open here. Nishtabru, but if the eggs break, then Nasas Bakashasai, then his Bakasha is going to happen, right? You would think if the eggs break, then he wouldn't get his Bakasha, but it's the reverse. V'chein Egaizim, so too the same is true also with regards to nuts, V'chein Kishum, also cucumbers, V'chein Koklis Chuchas, and any glass thing, right? If the glass breaks, you know you're going to have your dreams come true. V'chein so to all broken things, those are all good signs. Any you break something, it's a great sign. That also reminds us, right, of the Gemara that we had when the rabbis were too excited. Remember the Gemara in the beginning of the fifth parak? What did the Gemara tell us? That they asked the Kas, the Mukabas, right on Lamed Aleph. Fine. Finish the Gemara. We have to finish up here. So the Gemara says, Hanichnas the crack. Somebody comes into a city. Nas lechafetiv is going to have his whatever he needs done. Somebody has a haircut in a dream. It's a great thing. If he has a dream that his head and his beard have been cut, so that's even good for his whole family. Somebody sitting in a small boat in his dream. Shame Tagyatsa is going to have a good voice, a good name about him. If he's sitting in a big boat, so then loyal and his whole family is going to have a good name about them. That's only if the boat's floating high on the river, not low like it's taking in water. And if the Machalim, somebody has to go to the bathroom in a dream, that's only if he's not really wiping himself very, very much, because that would be something negative. Somebody goes up to a roof in a dream, he's going to go up and be a very important person. Yarad, if he comes down from the roof, Yarad is going to go down from the Gedula. Abai Rav say no. The Abai and Rav who had to go to Bar Hedya, now they became dreaming experts. They said no. Once he went up on the roof, he's going to be good to go. Even if he comes down on the roof, he's still going to be great. Somebody who rips his clothing in a dream, like you said already before, by ripping, it's all good signs. Somebody who's naked in the dream, then it depends where you are. In Bavel, it means that you're standing without any sins. But by Eretz Yisrael, mitzvahs. But in Eretz Yisrael, it means that you're naked without any mitzvahs. Unfortunately, I don't have time right now to explain what Rashi said to explain this. If somebody gets grabbed up by a soldier, the Shmir Nasas Led. It's not a negative. It's a wonderful thing. If you get grabbed up by a soldier in your dream, it means that you're being protected. And no, but Karla, if they're putting you in jail, and Sipul Shmir al Shmira, so you have even more Shmira. Your mom is being watched very well. But if they're just putting you in chains, then that's not a great dream. Somebody comes into a marsh, and somebody comes into a marsh in a dream. So Nasa Rosh Shiva means he's going to become Rosh Shiva, Liyar, to a forest. Nasa Rosh B'nei College. He's going to become only the head of the big students, not the little students. The difference is that Agam has all different types of trees, whereas the Yar only has tall trees. The reason for that is because the canopy doesn't allow the sun to come down. It's very hard to grow small trees. Only the tall trees survive. Papa saw a dream. Papa went to the marsh. So Nasa Rosh Shiva became Rosh Shiva. He only became the head of the really good students. They both went to the Agma, so they both went to the marsh, and nevertheless, only one became Rosh Shiva, one became the Rosh Kala. Why? El Rav Papa, the Tali Tavo Nasa Rosh Shiva. Papa had like some sort of a drum that was beating, so it made a lot of noise, like a Rosh Shiva who talks a lot to a lot of people. So then he became Rosh Shiva. Who became Rosh Shiva? The Tali Tavo Nasa Rosh Shiva. He only became the head of the top students. I'm Rav Ashi. I know Yalt Lagme, the Tali Tavla. But Rav Ashi says, so it's Rav Ashi who said before that he had the dream about the goose. And now Rav Ashi has another dream, right? This is the dream that he went to the marsh and he was beating on the drum. And guess what? Rav Ashi became Rosh Shiva. He's also the one who is Masada our Talmud. So Rav Ashi had these unbelievable dreams and he did a lot of unbelievable things about it. So you can't poo-poo the dream. Somebody's bloodletting in a dream. He's going to have all the sins forgiven. What does it mean that he's going to be having his sins forgiven? Maybe it means his another Bryce says that it's going to be misader them. So my Sidur and Sidur in the Machal doesn't mean it's going to be misader them for negative, it's going to be misader them for good things. Somebody sees a snake in a dream, he's going to have his parnasa, right? That's what Hashem says. It curses the Nachash, and look, everything is around for him. He always has his food. Right, Hashem curses the woman and everybody chasing her. Nashru, right? If the snake bites you in the dream, then it's even better for you. Hargu, and if the snake kills you, then of the parnasas, then that's a negative. Then you're going to lose your parnasa. No, if Sheshes says you're going to have even more of a parnasa, but it's not true. If Sheshes heavy, the Chazir Chivya Bechalmer. Rav Sheshes is the one who saw a snake in his dream. The Katlan, the snake killed him, so he was nervous about it. That's why he was being peiser at L'Tayf. This is Rav Sheshes, who has a whole thing about snakes, right? On your Bezim and Bezim, Gimel Manalf and Tessa Manalf. We've had all Rav Sheshes about snakes throughout Brachot. Fine, Tana coming to Rav Yochanan. All different types of drinks are great for dreams, except for one. Yesh there are those right, that could be good and those that could be bad. Yesh and it could be ones that are negative. Rav Yechon said to the Tana, who was reading in front of him, Tani, the way you should read is Tam Chacham La'ilam Tavla. For a Tam Chacham, all wines are good. Shnemar Luku, Lachmo, Belachmo, Vishasa, B'yayin, Misaklis. All right, we'll have to stop there.